Batman number 26, Tom King writing, Mikel Janin on art. Second part of War, Jokes and Riddles. Obviously, Jan's art is once again absolutely fantastic. I think that's right off the bat, no pun intended. That's what I want to point out. But this was basically kind of the escalation of the war, at the start of the recruitment, at least from Riddler's side, and kind of the declaration. And the way this issue kind of focused on this was Batman's narrating this, and again it's all past tense. He's telling Selina, because again we get to the last page and he's with her in present day. He's basically the technique here is that as it's going through, all these people are dying, whether it's henchmen of Carmine Falcone, whether it's innocent civilians. Basically, it's like Batman's naming all of them. He's like, no, this is this person, this was this person, this person was doing it for this reason, this person had this family. He's like, and as we're going through, it's almost just like here's everyone who died. It's a body count is essentially what it is as this is starting.
Well, they're all casualties of this war.
Yeah. And what I liked about this issue is it really feels like it's setting up like kind of like how big a deal this war is, like how horrific it is.
And it looks like too like for Zero Year, and I hate that's what it's called, was kind of an origin for Batman. This seems like this is the origin of where we are now with the different supervillains, because it seems like Joker was well known and Riddler had a 0 Year thing, but like here we have Carmine Falcone. He's kind of deposed to as the crime king of Gotham, and he's not running concurrent like we've seen in stories of the past. And it looks like Cobblepot was put in that spot by Joker.
Yeah, Penguin's actually working for Falcone until Joker comes in and says, "You work for me now." Interesting to see if we get a glimpse of how Penguin breaks away from him to do his own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Joker goes to Carmine and says like, "Hey, Riddler needs to be dead in an hour, or else." And that's all he says, and hangs up the phone. And Carmine's like, yeah, "What are you waiting for? Go and kill him." And when they fail, partly because Poison Ivy's there, and she sort of gets in the mix of what's going on.
Yep.
And when he fails, Joker like shows up. Oh, here's your mother's teeth, and he's got them lined up on the table in a smile. And my favourite part of this scene, of course, is when Cobblepot points out, "But wait a minute, his mother was in Metropolis. That's 3 hours away, and you gave him an hour to do this."
Yep.
There's that glorious dark little thing where the Joker either expected him to fail or just didn't care and did it anyway. Right. It's just that brutality. Speaking of Joker, I'm looking at the page right now where he's trying to smile in the mirror. And he just can't. He keeps trying, and he's just pissed that he's not smiling. It's glorious stuff.
Janin is killing it. So we all know that I love Poison Ivy. His Poison Ivy here is, and other artists draw her really sexed up. They use it as an excuse to put her in next to nothing. Here she is fully clothed and still has that Poison Ivy vibe to her. That's so you still buy her as the plant lady here.
I want to bring up actually, since we're on that scene, there was some controversy this week. Some people were upset at this book because Poison Ivy kills people. Which
it's a flashback story.
This is the thing. If you're going to argue with me, okay, Poison Ivy now has developed more into something of an anti-hero and maybe wouldn't do that. Okay, that's fine, but this is meant to be after a year of Batman's existence, she should have been a villain at some point.
Exactly.
I really don't. I don't like.
We know she's an eco-terrorist.
Yeah. I don't like the idea that she was always that way. She had to be a villain at some point. And to me, Poison Ivy did kill people at some.
She's not a mutant. She has a tragic backstory as well. She wasn't born with these powers and developed them over time. It's she got them in a freak accident and was driven mad with power. So it makes sense that she would have a body count, and then even through meeting Harley or regaining touch with humanity, she's become more of an anti-hero. And here, even though these people are trying to kill her because they warn her, get out of the way, and she doesn't, they gave her plenty of chances to move. So, so they're coming after her as well. So you could even say it's self-defense if you want to. But yeah, like, I think that's just dumb reasoning if you're mad about that.
Yeah, it really did not bother me at all. I never even thought about it until I saw people complaining about it online. I'm like, what,
Yeah.
really? This is a problem? But no, so she's been recruited by Riddler. And there's some great stuff as well. I do like Batman's outfit in this. It's just kind of...
Yeah.
I guess it's his new 52 outfit, but it looks great because it's Shannon.
Yeah, but it's classic. Like, it's as cool as the purple looks that he's gotten since.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the Batman I always think of. Like, the dark colors because he hides in shadows.
Yeah, the grey and the black. That's his thing. I do like the opening scene with Joker going into this random family's house, and you just see the gunshots, and Batman's like narrating, saying, that there's a wife and kids in there. Yeah. Again, it's setting this idea up that something's brewing, that these dark forces, and when it does get to that final sort of moment where he finds Carmine Falcone's mother in another, in Metropolis. And he's looking at the dead body. That's when the narration shifts, and he's like, "Oh, this is like before. This was just the start of it." And people were like, "Oh, yeah, this is just the normal sort of bodies that pop up in Gotham once in a while." But he's like, "No, these were happening too quick. This was the start of something big." And then that's when you get those gorgeous double-page spreads of Riddler and his recruits, which appear to be Scarecrow, Croc, Clayface, Two-Face, Zsasz, Deathstroke, and Firefly.
Yep.
And then you get the double page spread, of course, of Joker and his recruits. So it's got Grundy, Freeze, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, Scarface, Mad Hatter, Deadshot, Man-Bat, and... one that I don't know. Who's that dude?
Looks like Sportsmaster.
Okay.
Like, one of those type that's kind of expendable.
So some D-lister who's probably going to be dead by the end of the story.
Yeah.
These
and I will say this, too. I tend to like the characters that ended up siding with Riddler tend to be more of my favorite Batman guys because they seem to be the more conflicted of them. I mean, outside of Scarecrow and Zsasz, of course.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how Joker got Freeze and Deadshot, because the rest of them are all kind of crazy. So I buy that he recruits them, whereas Freeze
if this is Snyder's Freeze, it makes sense.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Nora was never really his wife, so he had an unhealthy fascination. But yeah, Deadshot's just kind of blue collar. I kill people for money for my daughter.
That's true. Yeah, maybe he's just getting paid well. That's a fair.
Yeah, but so he's the one that sticks out like a sore thumb there. It makes sense that Joker reached out to Grundy. Like, I want to see that scene. I want to see how he recruited Grundy.
What would Grundy even want?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. So it's those double page spreads are glorious. Like, and they each have like the question marks with the names underneath, and then you get to the next one, and they're all Joker cards with the names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Janin kills it. Janin's ever since the first time I saw his work was in, I think, Justice League Dark, and I was like, oh man, this dude's next level. And now you put him on this book, and all the eyes are on it. It's well fitting.
Yeah, and when you get to the last page, because that's kind of what we get, because Batman's kind of like narrating, and he's talking about how, because obviously in the last issue he said to her something along the lines of, before we move forward with this, you have to know what I did in the war, jokes and riddles. So it's hinting that he had to do something that maybe he's not proud of to solve this. And it's like, as he's narrating here and he's talking about this war, he's saying, "Oh, I was Batman for a year, and people were calling me the Dark Knight, the Crusader, world's greatest detective. I was a member of the Justice League. I was brave. I was bold. I was a superhero." And he ends the book saying, "I was a superhero." But as he says that, and he's with Selina, the background is just this wall of faces, presumably dead people, the victims that died during the war. And I think it's really building up to whatever bad choice he makes that might make us look at him a little bit differently. That might make us go, "Oh, right, he maybe did something that was a little bit darker that he shouldn't have done." And I don't think he killed someone, because that would be a kind of a betrayal of the character.
But desperate times call for desperate measures, and if he made alliances with certain people, like we don't see Penguin right on here, on the Joker's team.
That's true.
So I'm wondering if he made an alliance with like the established criminal element, because the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So, or if we get to see Matches Malone, and Matches Malone plays some kind of, role in this.
This doesn't feel like the sort of story that they're going to break out Matches Malone. I could be wrong, but it doesn't feel... Yeah. I feel like Matches Malone typically pops up in a more light-hearted tale.
Yeah, but imagine him making deals as Matches Malone, and that's what's the problem.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, he really can't approach it as Bruce Wayne, and Batman's already in the fray. But I did love his whole narration about what he was, and the way that he says that. He was those things.
Yeah, it's like whatever he did during this war made him look at himself different. Even if everyone else still sees Batman and still sees the superhero,
right.
This is where he maybe lost his innocence, where he sees himself as someone who, okay, he's still doing this, but part of it's also for atonement. Part of it's also because he doesn't deserve to live a normal life because of whatever he did to win this fight, to stop this war. But I think what this issue does really well is it really sets up this idea that so many people are dropping dead because of it, that the stakes are so high, that all these bodies, and the idea that even now, at the end of this issue, when he's telling Selina, like, this story, like, he is plagued with the faces of everyone who died in that war. Either because he feels responsible that so many people died, or because these are the reasons why he made the choice he did. But it's setting the stakes up really well, and I feel like, oh no, this feels big. Whatever this is, whatever's going to go down, they're setting it up so that whenever it happens, it's justified by the chaos and the death and the loss that's preceded it. I thought it was an solid issue. I think it's really funny that, back when Rebirth started, we were all, Detective Comics is easily the better of the two Batman books, and Batman was fine, but it wasn't knocking it out the park.
Well, King has found his footing, definitely. Like, I had to get through the I Am Bane, or I Am Suicide to get through I Am Bane, but he's found his footing, and he gets Batman.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not saying it's necessarily always better than Detectives now, but I feel like it's more of a fight. Like, it depends on what's like. I feel like right now, War, Jokes and Riddles is better than the arc that we've got in Detective right now.
Yeah, well, it almost feels like it's on purpose. Like they're trading. Like, well, you get to tell the kick-ass story this time. Now I'll get to. I like that they do that though, because it's as someone that reads almost everything. You notice these things more than someone that's just reading one or the other.
Yeah. I'm excited to see more of War, Jokes and Riddles. It's actually really funny because when they announced this, we went, flashback story. And I think that was just because of Zero Year. But when we actually started seeing some artwork from it, when we started seeing what it was about, and then we actually read the issues, I've been really, really into it.
I wasn't here to talk about the first issue, but that could go down by the end of 2017 as my favorite single issue. It was really strong. It felt like a Michael Mann movie told in a comic book. Had that, just the tone and the style. This, though, it shifted that a little bit, which is fine, because you want them to, each issue to feel a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what I like, though? I like that, obviously, having someone tell the story in hindsight, as if they're recounting it. Obviously, that's a common device that's used in a lot of stories, and even in comic books. But what I like about it here is that because comics are so serialized, that it's not just like I've thought of a story and we're going to have this device to tell the story. Like, a lot of movies do that, where it's like, a character's going to be telling the story to other characters. Whereas here, it's happening because of the story that's happening in present day that we've already been having and we've already set up. Right. And he's being prompted to tell her this because it's a big part of who he is right now.
Well, it's like him coming clean to her before, they shack up. If they shack up. Because we still really don't know, She could just steal his heart and run away. And she runs, he chases. Like, that's their gimmick. So, but no, I like that. I do have a problem because I forget that he's telling. Because it's just the narrator boxes. And then you get to the end and you're reminded, oh yeah, this is kind of pillow talk. I think that's... But I feel that that's the goal. Is they throw you in the past and then remind you at the end of each issue.
I think throughout the whole thing though, you never lose the idea that he is, like, he's telling this story because it means something to him. It's like it feels personal the entire time. As much as the story itself is spanning between two sets of villains and whatnot. It's also worth mentioning that there's a homage to Batman 1989 with the Riddler getting fixed up by a doctor.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a scene with the Joker in Batman 89 when he's asking for the mirror.
Where do they get a load of me?
Aye, well, that comes a little bit later, but aye.
Yeah. But that's what sets it up.
Yeah, and then Riddler kills the Doctor. So
he also draws a question mark with a razor blade onto his chest.
Yeah, because he's got like the wound from where he was shot, and he draws a question mark so that bullet holes the point on the
punctuation.
Yeah,
which I'm liking this Riddler, even though traditionally I liked Riddler as he's the brains. He doesn't necessarily get violent, but this, like, his dealing with the Joker is really what made him up to the fact that he's a Batman villain because he's dangerous, not just because he's crazy.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. The police characters in this, they're talking. Oh, no, it's not police characters. I think it's the news characters, because we hear like news broadcasts as we're looking at Joker, I think.
Yeah.
But Riddler usually leaves a cryptic clue, and it has to be solved. But in this occasion, when he left a message, it just said, "I'm going to kill Joker."
Yeah.
Like, he just flat out said it, and you get the idea that the Joker shooting him has ignited something that's taken away his usual playful spirit. Where he's like, no, usually he wants to play the game and he wants to do his riddles and all that, but this has kind of made him unhinged. This has done something else to him.
Yeah.
He's angry. That's it. I'm still expecting riddles to play a part in some way, but we'll see how that involves.